Hey everybody, welcome to the DW Plays video. This time I'm taking a look at Terminal Velocity Boosted Edition. This is specifically to cover the Boosted Edition. I actually did a review of Terminal Velocity a very long time ago. That video is old, it is awful. I will be doing a sort of redux eventually, and that will also include reviews of Fury 3 and Hellbender, which are basically the follow-ups to this game. So it'll be all three of those games, since they're all very similar to one another. Now, Terminal Velocity is a sort of flight combat game that was originally developed by Terminal Reality back in the 90s, and was first published by FormGen. 3D Realms picked it up a bit later, and now, as you can see down here, it has been re-released as the Boosted Edition by Ziggurat Interactive. They've been picking up a bunch of classic games and re-releasing them, and Terminal Velocity happens to be one of those. It did come with some slight upgrades compared to the original version, those being things like widescreen support, so it runs natively in widescreen, and it does upscale the graphics. And so it looks and runs properly, as far as basically anybody can tell. It does also include things like Steam achievements and such, and it is available not only on Steam, but also for Nintendo Switch, PS4, and Xbox One. So, if those are your preferred platforms, you can play on those. Really, though, this was always a classic DOS game. It was originally released as shareware, and you could play Episode 1 for free, and Episodes 2 and 3 were both, of course, in the full paid product. Now, when I do my redux of this, I will probably showcase Boosted Edition in addition to the original game, because there are some slight differences. This has a longer draw distance. It also, again, runs in widescreen, and the music is very slightly slower. It's slower enough to be noticeable. It's not a huge problem, but it does mean that the music doesn't quite sound right if you're used to the original DOS version. And this is something that was even true back in the day. The music always was kind of fast back in the day, even if your computer wasn't necessarily all that powerful. So it being a bit slowed down in this Boosted Edition just doesn't quite sound right. It's still good music, don't get me wrong. That was one of the better things about the presentation of this game, actually. But it just doesn't sound quite right. And it is a pretty bare bones sort of re-release, remaster, what have you. It's not really a remaster, but it is a proper re-release. They bring it to modern systems, it runs properly, add in achievements, widescreen support, the whole 9 yards there. So we're just going to go ahead and mess around a bit with Episode 1 here, and we're only going to play through the first stage. So the way this works out is you have each environment being a stage, and then each stage is split into sub-stages. And at the end of that, you have a boss fight. And once you finish the boss fight, and you extract from the level, then you move on to the next stage. So as far as difficulty is, we're going to go with hard, and it doesn't have enough characters for me to put in my full name, so I'm just going to go DWT here. And we're going to just jump into stage 1-1 here. It does have a storyline. There isn't much of one. It's very simple, it's a very straightforward game. In fact, all three of these games, Terminal Velocity, Fury 3, and Hellbender, are all very simple and straightforward games. And by simple and straightforward, I mean you fly around and you blast stuff, and then you extract from the level. You go to the extraction point, and then that moves you to the next level. Very simple, very straightforward, very easy game to pick up and play. And you do have a variety of enemies that you will fight. They tend to fall into the same general archetypes. But you can see there's a bunch of facilities that you can destroy, and then this is the exit point. So once you complete all your objectives, you move to this, and then you move on to the next stage. There are cutscenes. In this Boosted Edition running at 1080p, they look pretty awful. They are really heavily pixelated. The game itself, however, looks fine. This is how it's supposed to look. It does have a longer draw distance than the original DOS version. It does run smoothly, 60 FPS. It is locked to 60 FPS. And it's smooth. You pick up Afterburner to move faster. Now, I'm controlling this entirely with the keyboard. And that is because the game doesn't feel right unless I play it on the keyboard. That is how I have always played this game. And I immediately get the RTL. Wow, okay. So, there are different weapons. You have this here, which is your PAC, I think it's Particle Accelerator Cannon is what it's supposed to be. And then RTL, I mean, I've always just called it the right to left. I can't remember if that's what it's actually called in the manual, for example, but it's dropped by these tanks here. And you can pick up additional numbers of PAC and RTL. And when you do that, it upgrades the weapon by 1 step and then gives you a limited amount of ammunition where it's going to be upgraded. So how this actually works is when you upgrade the weapon the first time, instead of doing this back and forth blast for both PAC and for RTL, it fires both simultaneously. And then when you pick it up a second time, then it becomes a quad cannon. So we just need to destroy these facilities here. Like so. And I need to deal with these guys here. Now, when you up the difficulty, the enemies do become more agile and a bit tougher. So that is something to keep in mind. On normal difficulty, they're pretty easy to fight. And typically I go with this RTL once I get access to it because it's just more comfortable to use than the PAC. So we're going to go ahead and pick that up. See, we get more RTL, and as you will see here, it fires both simultaneously, which means you're doing basically double the damage of each individual shot. I'm going to switch back to the PAC because I have infinite ammo for that. So we're just going to go ahead and fly around here and destroy some of these storage facilities and pick up what's inside them. Get some Afterburner there. You do have limited use of the Afterburner, so something to keep in mind there. But the controls for this game are very simple. Arrow keys to tilt and turn, and A and Z by default on a QWERTY keyboard to accelerate and decelerate. Alt for Afterburner, space to shoot. And then number keys for the various weapons. It's very simple and straightforward. So it wants me to go into this tunnel, I believe. Yeah, it wants me to go into the tunnel. Well, first I'm going to pick up this, whatever's in this storage facility over here. Which is PAC, okay. So the green orb is PAC, and as you can see, it fires both simultaneously now. Just like the RTL. So now we're going to go into that tunnel here. And here, we have to be a bit careful because we need to avoid the walls and the obstacles. Oh, I missed the ion. Crap. Well, I never use the ion anyway, honestly, because you can't hit the broadside of a barn with it. So. Be careful with these automatically closing irises. And we've gone through the tunnel there. And that puts us out right next to another target here, so we'll go ahead and destroy that. We got another storage facility right here, so we'll go ahead and take care of that too. Oh, we get more PAC. This should upgrade it to the quad PAC now. Let's be able to see that here. Yep, quad PAC. That works. Those are power cores that ship just dropped. That also heals you. Now, something to note about the shield restore is if you haven't taken quite enough damage, then you can't actually pick up a shield restore. So now you can see we got the mission complete notification, so we can now get out of this. Come on, there we go. We can now get out of this level, so we're going to go ahead and do that. Well, first we're going to take care of this guy real quick. There we go. Obviously, the tanks don't offer much in the way of a threat there. So we just take care of them, and then you head into the vertical space above that, and you head on to the next stage. So, like I said, we'll continue on to, or you go to the next part of the stage, I should say. So, the next part of the stage is stage 1-2. So, we'll go to that, and we'll just keep going here. This is 3 stages, so we'll go through all 3 of them. And just take care of this here. And, I figure by the end of stage 1-3, you'll have a pretty good idea of whether this is something you might want to pick up or not. Go ahead and destroy that target there. Destroy that. Take care of this. Whenever you collide with something or get hit by enemy fire, it actually knocks you around, which is really annoying. You can fly upside down as well. It is a bit disorienting, of course, especially with keyboard controls like this. So it's gonna... I'm surprised it didn't want me to go in there. So you pick up that power core, as you can see, that heals you. So we are just going to go into this tunnel here, just for the heck of it. And it wants us to just fly. So that's exactly what we're going to do. Now, those of you who've played flight sims and stuff may think that controlling something like this with a keyboard would be very weird, but it actually works fine. In fact, weirdly enough, this game feels weird with gamepad or joystick controls, which is a bit weird to say, but we're gonna get the upgraded RTL, which means we now have quad RTL. We also have tons of excess afterburner. And we can fly above the clouds here. Now, they are a bit excessive with the achievements. Just a bit. But we now have quad RTL, which is very nice, and we'll go ahead and pick up some more pack ammo here. And head over to this next target here. All the while taking out these guys. Take care of them. Alright. Take care of that tank. And take care of this guy here. Now, because of the upgraded draw distance, sometimes the AI is a bit weird with how it performs. You can just kind of see it hanging in the air. And it's doing that because it wasn't really designed to operate with this full draw distance like this, so there would be a layer of fog that would be obscuring these guys. Now, this does happen in the original game as well. but it's less noticeable because of the shorter draw distance. Alright, we destroyed that target. And I'm just going to fly away from these guys. Okay, took care of those targets there. I'm just going to ignore them because it's silly. Unless, of course, they're right in my way, in which case, blast them, of course. As you can see, even on the hard difficulty, this is not an especially difficult game. To be fair, I have played a fair bit of this game in my time. But, even being incredibly rusty, I mean, I didn't pick up this game and mess around with it for years and years and years, and still, this is what you're getting here. So, obviously, it's not an especially difficult game. So we're just gonna fly along here, take care of that tank real quick, in the off chance it'll drop more RTL for me. And then we're just gonna fly out of here, because why not? And there's the exit, so we'll go ahead and hop out there. And then this will take us to stage 1-3, which will have a boss fight. And then once that boss fight's over, then it'll be on to the next stage. And that'll be where I call it a video here, because I think that'll be a good stopping point. Where'd he go? There he is. Yeah, he's gone. Alright. Yeah, I haven't really covered very many flight games on the channel. I should remedy that. To be fair, a lot of them just don't feel right unless you're playing them with either a joystick, at the very least, or a full HOTAS setup. For those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, a HOTAS setup is a joystick and a throttle control. And as you can see, once you run out of the ammunition there, it reverts back to the standard version of the weapon. Go ahead and destroy this here too. Okay. I don't want to waste the RTL if I can help it. And now it's going to want me to go in here. And I got to be more careful in here. I'm actually going to just keep firing here. And we picked up some more RTL ammo, which is good. We will need that. There we go. And this is the boss arena. First, we need to destroy these boxes on the ground here. These are like a shield generator. But I'm going to switch over to the pack for that. And we're trying to dodge those arms too, so it can be a bit tricky. It's not an especially difficult fight, of course, but once you destroy the shield generators, of course, you can actually directly damage the boss itself. And there's that destroyed. And then we just head on out. Although I am, of course, going to grab that. And then immediately smash into the roof of the tunnel there. Now, of course, there is a visual glitch there. I don't remember that being in the original game. It may be something that's only with Boosted Edition. It doesn't really affect anything. It just looks annoying. Whenever you hear that grinding noise, that means you crashed into something in the environment. And sometimes the hitboxes can be a bit wonky. So. But we'll go ahead and swing through this whole mess here. Pick up the MAM, which is a type of missile. And now we have officially finished this level. I'm going to go ahead and show you what this MAM does. It's thoroughly underwhelming, obviously. But if I fly past these tunnels, you'll notice that there's a sort of electrical look to them. That means that you cannot enter the tunnel anymore. Yeah, missiles are thoroughly underwhelming, but oh well. We'll go ahead and exit out of here, and then that will be the end of Stage 1. And I think that's a very good place to stop here. Gives you a very good idea of what terminal velocity is all about. It's more of this repeated throughout the rest of the game. There are different enemies you'll fight. You'll get different weapons as well. The environments will change a bit. But you've got generally a pretty good idea of what to expect from terminal velocity after seeing that. And especially for the Boosted Edition. I didn't really want to do a full video, full review or MTO just on the Boosted Edition. I figured it'd be better to just go ahead and show it in action. So I hope you all enjoyed the video, and if this seems like something you'd be interested in picking up, I'll go ahead and throw a link in the video description box where you can grab a copy of this. But it's a pretty fun game. It's not amazing, don't get me wrong. It's got a nice soundtrack. It's got good visuals for its time. It's very easy to pick up and play. Even the original DOS version is very easy to pick up and play. It's basically this, but with a lower frame rate, admittedly. It's running at 30 FPS instead of 60. And it doesn't have widescreen. But it still has keyboard controls, it still has the option for mouse controls if you prefer that, and joystick controls even. Although, getting a joystick to work with DOS games is kind of a mess in modern systems. But, if you're looking for a nice, simple flight combat game from the good old days, well, maybe give Terminal Velocity a shot, and if you like what you see from the Boosted Edition, maybe check that out. Thank you all very much for watching, and I will see you all in later videos.